Martin in Anaheim, you're on the Max Kellerman Show, ESPN Radio. Just start talking. Don't start saying what's up. What's up, Martin? Go.
Hey, check it out. LeBron, ring chaser LeBron, changing his jersey number. Who's he going to try to get now to go join them so he can try to get another ring, which ain't going to happen.
I mean,
but who you think he's going to go after?
Can I mention something? Who wins a ring who does not ring chase nowadays? Who won the title? Who won the title last year?
I grew up watching Jordan.
Okay. Jordan didn't have to ring chase because they got him Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant and later Dennis Rodman. He didn't have to go anywhere.
Yeah, but you yourself, Max, have said Scottie Pippen wasn't on Jordan's level.
But Pippen was a great
nowhere near his level.
But if my point is, if you're a big, you need another guy on your level. If you're a wing, you just need some great players. Not only is there no one on Jordan's level, but if you're Jordan, you don't need Hakeem to win, right? If you're Jordan, Hakeem didn't need Jordan. Hakeem existed in a league. He won 2 titles in a league that Jordan wasn't there. As soon as Jordan got back, no more for Hakeem. The point is, Jordan with Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman and Horace Grant is enough. But that's Michael Jordan. LeBron James was getting no help in Cleveland. And Gilbert was bringing no help. He's like, the hell with this. He linked up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. And later with Kyrie and Kevin Love. And later with AD. Why is that? I mean, is it ring chasing? I guess he didn't want to have his, end his career on bad teams with no rings. But if LeBron's a ring chaser, then all his rings are ring chasing. What about Kawhi? Got one with the Spurs. Right, the guys who don't ring chase are the guys the team they're on originally puts great teams around them. They don't have to ring chase. But even Kawhi left, went to Toronto and got a ring. Went to the Clippers. Is that ring chasing? He brought Paul George there. KD joined the Warriors. Then brought Kyrie and Harden to Brooklyn. Is that ring? Those are the guys who win. The players are the superstars are now the GMs. But it was no different back in the day. You think Magic won on non-super teams? Kareem and Norm Nixon and everyone there, they mid-season acquisitions of all-stars, and later James Worthy in them? You think Larry Bird won on non-super teams? McHale and Parrish and everybody, Dennis Johnson, Danny Ainge could shoot the lights out. They had Bill Walton off the bench. No, they all went on super teams. All right, who's next?
Let's go to David in Ohio.
David in Ohio, you're on the Max Kellerman Show, ESPN Radio.
Hey, Max, regarding super teams, I don't think Jordan ever had to face a super team like the Warriors or the Nets. And how would you compare, or how would you think those Bulls teams would do against those two teams?
Well, first of all, you can't just pluck teams out of their eras because the Bulls teams couldn't shoot the 3 and didn't shoot a lot of them back in that day. Just like these teams aren't used to hand checking. You'd have to think if those Bulls teams existed now, everyone would shoot the 3 better because they would practice it much more often. And the roster would be slightly tweaked to reflect the fact that they need more shooting. And if that Warriors team went back then, also similar thing. They'd have to get used to a rougher defense and bring on, maybe tweak the roster so you have players who could do that. So you're really not just saying how would they do against each other. You're saying how did each dominate their own era. The Bulls were the best, clearly, and by far the greatest franchise of all time, or greatest dynasty of all time, with the 72-win Bulls with Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman. You had arguably the 3 greatest defenders at 3 different positions, the greatest player of all time, who's also the greatest scorer, arguably the greatest coach of all time, and you had shooting too. They had shooters, and they had size in the front court. That was impossible. Those Bulls teams were impossible, but in terms of a collection of talent, if they just want to put them on the court by today's rules in play, probably this Nets team would win, right? Because shooting, you get 1 extra point for shooting and hitting a 3, and that Bulls team wouldn't be allowed to play defense the way they did then.
New season, new number, hopefully no new problems. LeBron will be changing from number 23 to number 6 on his uniform next season. He originally planned to switch back to number 6 in the summer of 2019 when the Lakers acquired Anthony Davis because the big man had worn number 23 his entire career with New Orleans. However, Davis will remain number 3 despite LeBron's change. This calls for the battle, our new segment where both Stephen A. and Max have 30 seconds to battle over what's better, LeBron at 6 or 23.
You want some of this? Bring it on. You want some of this? Bring it on. to me, kid, then you gone.
Max Kell, you on some of this? You're up first. Let's go.
Number 6 is the answer. And I'll be even more specific than that, Stephen A. I'll say the 12-13 season. That's his 3rd season in Miami. LeBron James' 2nd championship in Miami was the best version of LeBron James. Number 1, he was in his physical prime. That was his age 27, 28-year-old season, playing for a Pat Riley culture team, Eric Spoelstra as head coach. The level of intensity that LeBron played with that season, wire to wire, both ends of the floor, required him to be in his physical prime.
I disagree with you. To me, it was when he won the championship in Cleveland. And he beat the 73-win Golden State Warriors. That's what I'm paying attention to right here. I'm thinking about the numbers, but not just that. I'm thinking about his leadership. Remember, when he was in Miami, he had to learn to win. He had D-Wade and Pat Riley, who had to teach him how to elevate his level of play mentally, not just physically. When he arrived in Cleveland, he was the clear leader. He was the guy that came back from a 3-1 deficit to knock off a 73-win team. His leadership ability, no question about his ability to close, was there. He wasn't shy about going to the free throw line or anything else. Plus, he was still shooting James and he was still getting to the basket. I'm going to go with that second version.
Number 2 was his defense that year. LeBron James, and he'd already learned how to lead, Stephen A, by then, right? This was his 3rd year in Miami I'm talking about. LeBron James's defense, his 3rd year in Miami, that 2nd championship, when I think of the greatest defensive players of all time, he comes to mind because of the defense he played that year. You talk about guys who could legit guard 5 positions. LeBron could guard everyone. And every position at almost an elite level. 260 pounds, 6'8" with a wingspan, but could also put him on a point guard.
I get where you're coming from. I just disagree because I think moments matter in basketball when you're that great. And even though he had 37 and 15 in the Game 7, it shouldn't have got to a Game 7. But Greg Popovich decided to bench Tim Duncan at a key play. They get the offensive rebound. You're the Miami Heat. Chris Bosh kicks it out to Ray Allen, and Ray Allen saves LeBron from losing yet another championship. So I'm not going with that at all. I'm still going to go back to what he did that year. They beat Golden State. Leadership did matter, and he wasn't the leader then. Even though Dwayne Wade conceded a lot to him, he didn't elevate to the point that he got to once he was in Cleveland.
Number 3, his efficiency that year. It's not just the eyeball test. You know how old he is. He's in his physical prime. You could see him playing defense and all that. It's actually also the numbers. It's not your imagination that he was hitting the 3 better than at any point in his career. He shot better than 40% for the only time in his career from 3. He was hitting 75-something% of his free throws. He was 57% from the field. That was the most efficient version of LeBron ever. So he's in his physical prime. He's playing defense as well as almost anyone who's ever lived. And it's his most efficient offensive season.
Well, you're looking at him as an individual. And again, this is why I disagree with you. That's why LeBron James said he'll take his older self any day against his younger self, because his mind got sharp and he knew what to do, how to conserve himself, how not to expend so much getting individual numbers, that it was at the sacrifice of the team. And by the way, that was the last time, the year I'm talking about when they beat Golden State, the last time I remember LeBron James shooting better than 73% for the free throw line, to be quite honest with you. So I look at it from that perspective. And again, I'm looking at his decision-making, his leadership, his willingness to shoot free throws, not being scared to take the ball in the paint, be a bit more physical and savvy. All those things made him more impressive.
Out of time. Let's pull up the graphic. We'll show the reasons each guys, and we'll let the folks at home decide based on the battle who won it.